True review here, and this is not going to be a happy video. 2018 had some great games to come out, as we saw in the last video, but equally, it also had some that were, well, like a trodden on turd, just flat out shit. So to commemorate last year's releases before this new year kicks off, here are the top 10 worst games of 2018. Rules of engagement are, no Steam Greenlight games, or whatever it's called now. Steam Direct, maybe? Because that place is just a toxic cesspool of crap and you're sport for choice there. Only one game per franchise, and games to have come out in 2018 but are still in early access or is episodic, and thus hasn't been finished by the time this video has gone out, also don't count on here, as I think it's only fair that we consider entire, completely finished games. And with that said, let's get this circus going. FIFA 19! And so we kick this list off with, hey, an unintentional pun! So we kick this list off with the latest addition to the FIFA series, and guess what? It's exactly the same as the rest! You see, there's a reason why I've never gotten into these kind of gaming series, especially FIFA. Well, it's also mainly down to the fact that I don't enjoy watching or even playing football. But the FIFA series has been so copy and paste for what feels like forever that I just don't get why anyone would want to pay cash in hand for yet another clone of what they probably already have. Added with the fact that it's microtransactions galore means that FIFA 19 is a complete waste of both your time and your money. Now, if they were to release a FIFA 20 with a mode that unleashes a load of dinosaurs onto the pitch from a game, then I'd consider buying it. Extinction! I'm not sure if anyone has told the developers of Extinction yet, but we already have an Attack on Titan game, so they need not have bothered. The dudes that make Dynasty Warriors made one that was relatively fun to play, so if you really want to play Attack on Titan, then just go and get the first one from them. Even more so when you realise that Extinction is also incredibly dull. If Attack on Titan is a Mars bar, then Extinction is the cheap knockoff brand version that your mum buys from Aldi's and then tries to pass it off as the same thing. The gameplay is meh, the graphics look very dated, and the amount of enjoyment isn't worth the full AAA asking price. If you see this one on offer, then just move along. State of Decay 2! And now that I think about it, the title of this game describes itself perfectly. This game is in a state of decay, and I'm willing to bet my last penny that no other video game journalist thought of saying that first. The first State of Decay was met with relative positivity, and quickly gained a popular following. It did well for itself, and thus, Undead Labs decided to make a second game. Sorry, I got that wrong. What I meant to say was that Undead Labs decided to rush a second game out the door. With countless bugs and glitches, and many features of the core game left obviously unfinished, State of Decay 2 is in dire need of attention from its creators, and less attention from the consumer. Agony! Playing this one was pure agony? Again, I'm willing to bet the money I made from the State of Decay pun that no one else came up with that first. Original content right here. And I've got to say that this one was such a shame. It looks so good on paper. You've been cast down into the HE double heck, and now you've got to escape and survive the demonic horde with your trusty wit, because there's no weapons in this game. Now that sounds like it'd make for a great experience. How did they manage to fuck that up? Okay, we can't expect anything comically hilarious like Dante's Inferno, but this one could have been a really dark and foreboding experience, but no, it's a walking simulator with emphasis on stealth mechanics that don't work half of the time, and with a story that seems to have been sent to heaven instead of where we are, and is therefore suspiciously absent from the game. Hell as a video game setting has always fascinated me, but rarely does such a game manage to pull it off. Unfortunately, Agony also fails to pull this off. Shag Fu! A legend reborn. No, just why? Just fucking why? No, I want to know who was the genius who decided to go back to this series. When a good game gets a reboot, it's usually good. When a bad game gets a reboot, it's usually just as shit as we remember it being, and Shag Fu is no exception. The original Shag Fu has been hailed by many to be one of the worst games of all time, and some fucking genius out there decided that it was time to bring that crap back into the modern day. Well, surprise, bloody surprise, what we got was a terrible game. Not as terrible as the original, mind you, but just terrible enough to remind us of the original shit game, and that even after all this time, any game with Shag's name on it is still a steamer. Might as well make Mighty No. 9 2 while you're at it.
Mambo No. 5.
Fallout 76. It kind of hurts to put this one on here, but not because I have any love for it. I genuinely do love the Fallout series. 1, 2, 3, New Vegas, 4, they're all amazing, and I love Bethesda for it. But really? Elder Scrolls Online was a far, far, far superior game compared to Fallout 76, and even that game was tame. I played a bit of it a while back, and while I didn't think it was bad, it was just dull. If Bethesda could take anything away from that one, it's that they work best when their games are single-player focused. However, this time we have a Fallout multiplayer game, and everyone started going, when it was announced, and lo and behold, it was a fucking disaster upon release. Bugged up to its eyeballs and many elements left unfinished. Fallout 76 also had the additional kick to the plums of there being no human NPCs, which, okay, makes sense in the world you're playing in, but that still means that the world feels empty and lifeless, which the Wasteland is not. It's filled with all sorts of colourful characters and inhabited places. Fallout 76 feels like you've just stepped into a Fallout game, but all the characters are fucked off because the game is already over. And don't get me started on the duffel bag controversy or whatever it was they said they were giving players, and then didn't, or the fact that, as an apology, they're giving away free copies of Fallout 1 and 2, when what they should be doing is fixing the mess that is Fallout 76. Metal Gear Survive! Fucking hell, I called this. I knew this was going to happen, but I still remember people telling me that I was being pessimistic. Well, look what happened. When it was announced that Hideo Kojima was effectively fired from Konami during the development of Metal Gear Solid 5, I knew that that would be the last true Metal Gear Solid game we'd ever get. Anything we'd get after that wouldn't be Metal Gear, and so I waved goodbye to one of my favourite franchises right there and then. Well, Konami, you certainly didn't disappoint, did you? And they did that by proving me right and releasing an absolute disappointment of a game. Say whatever the hell you like about this one, it's not a Metal Gear Solid game. It's a zombie survival crafting game, and that's literally got fuck all to do with the Metal Gear Solid series. Metal Gear Survive was the game that no one asked for. It was the game no one wanted, and it was the game we all hoped we wouldn't get. Yet Konami looked at what was trending at the time, but accidentally looked up what was old and reused to the point where we were just sick of it all, and zombie survival with crafting was at the top of the list, so they made a game that was basically that, and slapped the Metal Gear title onto it, hoping that we'd buy it. Well, listen carefully to the following words. Don't buy it! Thanks for destroying one of the best video game franchises ever, Konami, and thanks in advance for the copyright claim. Super Seducer 2! Super Seducer 1 was poorly received upon release for being a cheesy, cringeworthy visual novel that centres around live-action scenarios and is supposed to be a tool that will help you pick up chicks. The problem with it was, well, I've already stated why. And coupled with the fallout that what happened next when Richard Laruna, probably got his name wrong, ended up responding badly to certain critics and drawing more negative attention to his game, Super Seducer was widely considered to be a terrible game. So imagine our surprise when Super Seducer 2 was announced. And while the main formula of the second game hasn't changed much since the first, The thing is with this one is that I'm in two minds. On the one hand, I want to say that it surpasses the first in how bad it is, and thus advise you to stay away from it. But on the other hand, I want to say that it surpasses the first in how bad it is, and thus I advise you to play it because it's so bad it's good. I don't know if Richard was intentionally trying to be funny in this one or not, but some of the scenes are hilarious, including a weird off-tangent section where he launches missiles, presumably at Pro Jared and Jim Sterling, both of whom were active critics of his first game. But that's the thing about Super Seducer 2, it's so bad that it's really entertaining, and at the end of the day, video games are entertainment products, and Super Seducer 2 does deliver on that front. Just not in the way Richard was hoping. But can we just take a moment to remember that Super Seducer 1 and Super Seducer 2 came out in the same goddamn year! The Culling 2! If you've released a game, and later find yourself removing it from the store page, then you know you've fucked up about as hard as you can, and the developers at Xaviant found themselves in this very situation. The first Culling was involved in the Battle Royale craze, but was inferior to that of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and Fortnite, but still managed to get its own lore following. But in July of 2018, the sequel to this game came out in all of its glory. Or lack thereof, because as it turns out, this sequel was insultingly unfinished, earning itself a nasty backlash from the community, to the point where the developers were forced to remove the game from the store page and go back to the drawing board. Since then, and all the way to when this video was uploaded, The Culling 2 hasn't been re-released, and there has been no word of it coming back out anytime soon. There's bad, and then there's so bad that you yourself cannot allow your own game to remain on the store page, and that's why The Culling 2 makes it in at number 2. Which means... Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. The Quiet Man! What? Did someone really make a game like this? Is this a real game? Are you sure they're not taking the piss? Well, just so you know, I fully intend to make a rant video on this title at some point in the near future, because when I first heard about this one, I thought, holy shit, I need to make a video on this soon. And it actually sounds quite good on paper. It focuses on what it's like for people with hearing disabilities. In actuality, it's basically what would happen if you took Batman, removed all of his gear so that he's just Bruce Wayne, and then make him completely deaf. There is potential for that to be quite a moving experience, but nope, fucking nope, it's a terrible and hilarious experience. Because not only is there no sound, but all the dialogue is muted out as well. And this game has live action cutscenes in it, but it's all fucking muted out, oh my god. Trying to follow the story in this game is just wishful thinking, as one dude comes up to you and silently flaps his lips, leaving the player sitting there like, I really don't know what's going on. Oh, we're having a fight now. Okay then. Now, with a bit of effort, and to be fair, there was a great game sitting there that could have told a powerful story without saying a single word. I mean, Journey didn't say a single word, and that game was powerful as hell. But The Quiet Man failed to do that. Instead, taking a fully written story with characters and subplots and all, and then proceeded to... remove that story. So what you're left with is a comically awkward and disconnected experience. The whole point of a game is to either tell a story or deliver a great experience. But The Quiet Man wrote its story and then proceeded to screw it up and throw it out the window, while the gameplay is just dull and feels stiff. And glitched at the times as well. I'd argue that The Quiet Man is 2018's biggest fail in the video game world, and for that reason alone, The Quiet Man comes in as the worst game of 2018 on this list. And that, boys and girls, was the worst games of 2018. But if you happen to be the biggest fail in the video game world, then like this video and headbutt the subscribe button. Also, make sure to head over to Twitter to find out which video is out next and when, and there's also Patreon if you'd like to support this channel further, and the links for those can be found in the description below. And with that, this video is done. Let's hope that 2019 is a bit better. But until the next shit video, see ya!
Sometimes I think this life is killing me. Sometimes I think this life is killing me.